Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Melody and I'm a 30-something French lady living in Brittany, France. 10 years ago, when I was still living in the Baltics, I started designing knitwear patterns. Knitting is something that I have always wanted to learn ever since I was a little girl. Knitting, soap making, jam making, gardening, foraging, basket making, beekeeping, and so on. These are the things that I was dreaming about growing up. I vividly remember watching a documentary of a French monastery when I was still very little and was in awe at all of the things that one could make. I didn't realize how much work all of that would entail, of course, but I don't know, it seems that documentary impacted me in a very profound way. It's at the time that I started designing knitwear patterns that I thought that perhaps one day this whole backyard thing could become reality. So for the past 10 years, we worked really hard to make that reality an actual thing. After looking for years without success, one day in 2022, we got very lucky and bought this house. Initially, we wanted a small house with a lot of land, but that was near impossible to find. After welcoming our first child, our priorities kind of shifted as well, and we realized that it would have been too stressful for us to live somewhere too far from the hospital, so we had to compromise. Our stone cottage was built in 1870 and needs a lot of work both on the inside and the outside. So we started working on it right away. Meanwhile, we welcomed our second baby at the end of 2023. Things are done very slowly here, not only because of time restrictions, but also because we only get things done when our budget allows it, and also because not me nor my husband know very much about building renovations. So researching how to do the things right takes a long time, and we're also kind of scared to mess up. The first thing that we did was to plant an orchard. We planted about 30 different fruit trees on the piece of land that we owned across the street. Then we tackled the dumpster that our backyard was. We removed 3 full trucks worth of buried garbage, brought in some soil, demolished a collapsing building, built a greenhouse, made raised beds, fenced the different areas, installed a French drainage, and then only started growing things. At the end of last year, we redid the plastering on the corner of the house, which remedied, I just hope that I won't be jinxing it, our rodents issue in the ceiling. And this year we tackled the south-facing facade, but we're enjoying the journey tremendously. My days are divided between my first love, knitting, and all of the other projects that we decided to undertake. So let me take you along this handmade/homemade journey. I hope you'll stick around. Hi, hello. I'm so happy to be here to start this new journey of recording little moments of our life here in Brittany. This has been a goal of ours for the longest time, to live close to nature and grow some of the food that we eat ourselves. I share this beautiful life with my husband and our 2 young children. We've been in this house since the fall of 2022, and as I mentioned earlier in the video, the house was quite run down and in much need of maintenance and care. So let's start with the outside part first. So we have about 1,000 meters square of land on this side of the property. When we moved in, half of the outside was covered in a decaying wooden terrace. Trash had been left in a concrete shed just outside the kitchen. A boundary wall that was separating us from the neighbor was collapsing on our side. And then when we had gotten everything demolished, realized that under the gravel was trash. So there were piles of broken glass bottles, tiles, waste from previous projects, plastic, old batteries. I think I even found a shoe from, like, I don't know, the past century or something. And we tried to tackle it by hand with a shovel, and it would have taken us probably like 10 years to bring everything out, and then rent out a truck to bring everything outside, and there was just not doable. So we ended up hiring some people. They came over and they excavated tons and tons of trash and debris and gravel, and we ended up with like a pit a pit in the garden. And when we reached the granite, because here in Brittany our buildings are built with granite stone, so we have granite under pretty much everything. So once everything was excavated, we brought some soil in, we tried our best to level it, and that's when we could really start working on the garden. So when that was done, with our neighbor, we rebuilt a wall. So we used concrete blocks to build it. We initially wanted to reuse or rebuild a dry wall, but that would have taken us so long to do, and so much money. So we went the easy road and did a fast concrete block wall that we painted black. And I painted the rest of the walls, the boundary walls around the property, the same color. That's the color of our greenhouse. It kind of makes everything prettier, for sure. It adds like a really nice background to the greenery of plants that are growing around here. And so after the wall was done, we built the greenhouse. It took us a really long time to level it. That was a really, really hard job. We fenced the different areas in the garden. We also installed gutters on the house because the house didn't have any gutters, and we did a French drain on the north-facing wall of the house because water was just pouring down, and without any way for the water to go, it was sitting there, and it was kind of seeping in through the walls, so going back in the house, which ended up creating humidity in the house. We also had a very poor heating source, so we had to change the pellet stove to a wooden stove. We put a stove that is diffusing the heat for 6 hours after we stopped putting the last log in. So throughout the night it diffuses the heat, so we don't have to constantly add firewood in. And that was something really important for us because we didn't want to have to rely on electricity as our source of heating. Not only because we very often have power outage here, Mostly because we live in the countryside, but also because we're more and more prone to having like storms, windstorms, and therefore having power outage. So for us that was really, really important because we just could not imagine living in a house that was quite damp without having any source of heating. So yeah, we're quite independent in that regard, and yeah, that's a wonderful feeling. So yeah, the French drainage, the gutters, these were like the main things that we needed to do in order to continue with the following steps. So after that, we installed raised beds, we built some raised beds, and yeah, we started gardening very slowly. We built the beds, I think, in maybe early spring or late spring, I don't remember, but we were basically late for the first gardening season, so we kind of skipped a year. We grew a few things, but that wasn't very much at all. One of the first things that we also did, so we also own an orchard on the other side of the road. So whenever I say the orchard, you need to picture a plot of land. It's basically a field with trees, and we call it the orchard because we have a walnut tree there, and we have a plum tree and also a cherry tree. So these were the 3 fruit trees that were already established when we moved in. One of the first things that we did was not plant 30 fruit trees. I asked my husband to go through our list yesterday, and it turns out that we have more than 140 species of fruit trees and fruit bushes between here and the other side. So before we even started the garden, that's what we did, because we knew that fruit trees, they do take a lot of time to get established, and in order for us to start harvesting fruits as quickly as possible, that was the first thing that needed to be done. So that's what we did. That takes a lot of work from us in the summer because we do not have a well on the other side. We do have a well here, but we don't have a well across the street, and we don't have any building with water reservoirs, so there's no way for us to collect rainwater on the other side. We do have a couple here that we have attached to the gutters, but that means that in the evening we need to go back and forth quite a few times with the wheelbarrow to bring gallons of water on the other side. So that's what we're going to be doing over the past couple of days, because it's going to be quite hot in here, and since the trees are quite young, they still need to get established and therefore need a lot of water. So yeah, the first few years of living here, this is what it's going to be, and hopefully later, once the trees are, once they will have found their own source of water, we won't have to shuffle barrels of water back and forth. This year, I also wanted to expand the garden a little bit. We only have, I think, 8 or 9 raised beds on this side. And we kind of limited in terms of what we can do because we have the septic tank in the middle of the yard. So we could potentially extend the garden and do more raised beds, but I don't know if there's any issue with the tank. I kind of don't want to have to lose raised beds. So we do have a lot of space on the other side. So this year I started growing low maintenance veggies like squashes and potatoes and sweet potatoes, pumpkins on the other side. It still needs a lot of work because one of the main pests that we have here is slugs. So if I don't go pretty much every day and check things out, everything could have been devoured. We have voles as well, which create little galleries right underneath the crops and then disturb the roots. So we need to make sure that everything is okay so the plant can grow and thrive. The last thing that we did first was to inoculate Shiitake mycelium into oak branches that we cut down. And so it's been, I think, a year and a half. We probably inoculated the logs sometime in the spring, and I believe like 6 months later, I'm not sure I wrote down when we actually inoculated them, but that was sometime in the spring, I think. So I think the following spring we started getting our first shiitakes, and we made the mistake of leaving the logs on the other side, so slugs just decimated everything. So we had to bring all of the logs on this side. In the winter we have to put them up. We have a flat roof over the kitchen, so we have to put the logs up so that the slugs don't eat everything. And then in the summer we bring them down and put them in a shaded area here. We still get a lot of slug damage, but we can at least eat a few shiitakes. Yeah, so shiitakes have been quite an awesome thing. We left for a month and a half this winter, and when we came back we had frost, and the logs that were up on the roof were covered with shiitakes. We harvested more than 4 kilograms of it, and I still have quite a few in the freezer. So that was a great thing to come back to. And right now we had quite a bit of rain the past couple of days, and there's more that are starting to pop. So I'm looking forward to eating some shiitakes very soon. So yeah, that was kind of a summary of how we got things started. I'm so looking forward to sharing more with you all of the projects that we're gonna do over the summer. There's gonna be house renovations, there's gonna be home preservation, garden transformation, some pickling, some fermenting, some laundry composting, some harvesting, some foraging. In the future, hopefully some beekeeping, some egg raising or chicken raising. There's just so much we want to do. So yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing more of this journey with you. So yeah, I really hope that you're gonna stick around and that you're gonna perhaps get inspired to do a few projects of your own.